please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to Markets Today Talk Back. I'm Lata Venkatesh. With me is Surabhi Upadhyay. Hi Surabhi.
Hi Lata. Well, quite a topsy-turvy day as far as individual stocks are concerned, and we will be talking about the fallout of that all-important 2G verdict in just a minute. Of course, the next 30 minutes, we get you the headlines, and our experts will also be answering all of your stock-specific questions and queries. Joining in to do that today are Sudeep Bandopadhyay, Group Chairman of IndiTrade Capital, and our technical expert, Mitesh Thakkar. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us on the show. Before we get started, let's take a look at how markets fared in today's trading action. So, Lata, I mean, very flat as far as the large cap indices are concerned, but once again, an extremely powerful rally playing out in the mid-cap universe. What did you think of that?
Well, markets were starting with cues weighing on them. The global markets took a breather. And I mean, that's after 2 days of hard running. And now the tax reforms have gotten passed. So that's, you know, buy on rumors, sell on news. And there, of course, crude prices have been higher. That was another negative for us. Along with crude prices, yields also went up. But when you looked at the way the mid-caps performed, it was a crazy rally out there for the second day running. In fact, for all of this year. Today, if the yields were any problem, then the NBFC should not have run as hard as they did. Just about everything ran up today. And what was surprising is, like yesterday, some parts of the rally were really questionable. You know, extremely leveraged stocks were running up at a time when yields are rising. I mean, it doesn't make sense. They're already over-leveraged stocks. Why should they be running? So for me today, lately, the way in which mid-cap, it's not the mid-cap rally. There are some extremely quality mid-caps, and maybe even undiscovered stocks. But some of the stocks that were rallying today, especially the leveraged ones, brought, for me, a cause for worry.
Well, there were many parts of that rally, whether it was construction stocks, whether it was a couple of real estate names, of course, the leverage companies, as Lata mentioned. We will analyze all of those trends. Let's also get you the top headlines. Markets end flat. Benchmark indices underperformed. Reliance, Maruti are the top index losers. The market breadth remains in favor of advances.
Mid-caps and pharma stocks outperform benchmark indices. Mid-caps rise 1%, while Nifty Pharma rallies 0.3%. Walcott leads the pack.
The Patiala House Court acquits A. Raja, Kanimuri and others in the 2G spectrum allocation case. Special Judge O.P. Saini says the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI failed to prove charges beyond reasonable doubt.
The 2G verdict sees stocks connected to the 2G scam actually rally. Unitech shoots up 13%, while Sun TV rises 5%. DB Realty sees a massive 20% uptick.
Higher crude prices and a hawkish MPC push bond yields higher. That hurts the Nifty Bank. The index closes 0.2% in the red. All right,
those are the top headlines. And as we said before we went to the headlines, today was a day when the markets, the indices themselves were in a range, the Nifty and the Sensex. But even the Nifty Bank, I guess, has been probably a slightly wider range than the Sensex and Nifty, but still in a range. It was the mid-caps that really took the game away. So first, those questions to our experts. Mitesh, what's next for the Nifty? It is struggling to make a new high. So 10,490 proving to be formidable in terms of a resistance.
Good evening, Lata. I think I would not really call it as a struggle. I think, we are barely off this highs, and also is the fact that, we've not had a big correction. It was only a 400-point kind of correction, which basically turned out to be more of sideways movement between 10,500 to 10,100. I think eventually we'll break on the upside. Subject to the Bank Nifty participating. If that doesn't happen immediately, then maybe after some time. But the key here could be the Bank Nifty. That also enjoys a good weightage in the Nifty. And if that was to possibly reverse from 25,200, 400 levels, then I think we'll look at new highs immediately.
Okay.
Okay, well, before we get down to answering all the questions on the show today, let's just recap the big story. 7 long years in the making. The 2G verdict is finally here in a landmark judgment. Special CBI Court Judge O.P. Saini has acquitted all the accused, including former Telecom Minister A. Raja, DMK leader Kanimuri, and a clutch of corporate honchos. The order reserved some scathing words for the prosecution led by the CBI as well as the Enforcement Directorate. The officials of the then Telecom Department were also in the line of fire. Let me run you through some of the key lines from the order. The judge said, and I quote, For the last about 7 years, on all working days, summer vacation included, I religiously sat in the open court from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. awaiting for someone with some legally admissible evidence in his possession, but all in vain. Not a single soul turned up. End of quote. The judge then went on to tear the prosecution apart, saying, and I quote again, "I have absolutely no hesitation in holding that the prosecution has miserably failed to prove any charge against any of the accused made in its well-choreographed charge sheet." End of quote.
Well, the verdict sparked wild celebrations outside the court, where hundreds of DMK supporters had gathered. A. Raja and Kanimozhi said they stand vindicated. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said the propaganda against the UPA stands demolished. Finance Minister Jaitley, however, hit back, saying this is not a badge of honor for the Congress. Here out some of the key reactions.
Yes, sir. Are you happy with the order? Are you happy with the order? Yes, sir. Anything about Vinod?
Being accused of corruption is not an easy burden to carry, and it has been very painful. And but of course, it's a learning experience also, and politically I've learnt a lot.
Boast anything. I think the court's judgment has to be respected, and I'm glad that the court has pronounced unambiguously that all this massive propaganda which was being done against the UPA was without any foundation.
The allegation of a major scam involving the highest levels of government was never true, was not correct, and that has been established today.
There was no case. From the beginning, there was no case. In fact, it was a scam of lies. There was no scam on our part. We did it in accordance with the policy prescription that we had at that point in time. And I've been saying from day one that there was no loss, and I've been vindicated today. In fact, it is Vinod Rai who must apologize to the nation. It is the opposition that must apologize to the nation, because they sullied the name of the UPA on absolutely fictitious grounds. There never was a scam. And there was never any corruption in these issues. And it's been now clarified by a judgment of the court.
ED is already taking the case to the High Court. And even in previous instances, it was the Supreme Court that cancelled the licenses, sir.
That's wrongly, according to me, wrongly. And I've always said so. I have said so in writing.
Okay.
That was also a wrong decision. I mean, the fact that the Supreme Court rendered a decision doesn't mean it's necessarily right.
Okay.
In fact, the kind of environment that was created by the media, by the opposition, by Vinod Rai, and see what the telecom sector is the dire straits it is in today. And this is entirely because of Vinod Rai.
The Congress party leaders are treating this judgment as some kind of a badge of honor and a certification that the 2G allocation policy was an honest policy.
The policy was arbitrary and designed to promote corruption. It was implemented in an unfair manner. It was causing loss of revenue to government, and auctioning was getting much higher price. Now, for this entire scam, who is liable? In a criminal case, the special judge has said nobody is liable. I am sure the investigating and the prosecuting agency will look at it.
2008 के ऑक्शन को लेकर के सीवीसी ने स्वयं जांच शुरू की थी और नीति को दोषपूर्ण माना था। 15-16 के ऑक्शन को लेकर के सीवीसी ने जो बात कही है, मुझे लगता है वो ध्यान देने योग्य है। सीवीसी has applauded Department for Transparency and has given an award in 2017. 2001 की प्राइस पर 2008 में स्पेक्ट्रम दिए गए और वो फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट सर्व की जगह फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट पे बनाई गई, जो आर्बिट्रेरी थी। और भ्रष्टाचारपूर्ण थी।
Okay, so those were a lot of the reactions that poured in through the day. And the third headline now that we are tracking after the Patiala High Court verdict on the 2G case, the stocks which gained on the street were DB Realty, Unitech as well as Sun TV. Sun TV rose to close to a level of 5% in trade. Unitech surged almost 13% and DB Realty shot up by 20%.
Okay, so now let's get to our question and answer segment on the various stocks that were involved. We have actually got questions on Sun TV. Sahil Sodhani has sent us this question through an SMS. He is holding 500 shares of Sun TV, bought at the cost of 835 rupees per share. He is a short-term investor, wants to know if he should hold on or whether he should sell it. Sudeep, what are your thoughts? He's very clear that he's a short-term investor. Sudeep, you can hear me? No, I don't think Sudeep's audio is working. Mitesh, Sun TV?
Yes, I can hear you, Lata.
Okay.
I think... Hello? Lata,
yeah, go ahead.
Hear you.
Yeah, go ahead. What is this?
Sun TV, I think, kind of moved up quite a bit. It was around 400, 450 levels. From there, it has moved to, the levels where it is today. So I think, of course, it's a good judgment for the company. And obviously, Sun TV is a little politically sensitive always. And these kind of events do affect Sun TV. So for the investor, I think, if he believes in the media sector, probably there are other options. He can take the opportunity of this sentiment and exit Sun TV. However, if he is a long-term investor and he believes in the media sector, he may as well remain invested. What I'm trying to say is that this judgment will not have too much of impact from probably tomorrow onwards on Sun TV share price.
Okay.
So he has to take a decision independent of today's judgment. And if he's a short-term investor, he can exit and move to other sectors.
Okay, well, he is 150 rupees in the money. He's bought it at 835 and now it's 982 on the stock. Mitesh, for a short-term investor, can he be greedy and stay on for a bit, say 3 months? Mitesh, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So I said I would always want the investor to be slightly greedy, especially when he's making good money and the stock has made fresh all-time highs. Getting past 940, 950 was quite good. So I think now he can hold with a stop loss, which is revised to about levels of 935. My sense that we will see levels close to about 1050, 1070 over here, which could happen in the next 3 to 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay, all right, let's move to a different set of queries now beyond 2G as well. We've got lots of questions coming in. So here's a question on Hero MotoCorp, and this is a query that's coming in by Twitter user Manish Agarwal. He's holding 300 shares, bought them at a price of 3,900, wants a short-term target on the stock. So since it's for the short term, Mitesh, what would you advise? It's about 100 rupees off his price right now.
See, it was about 500 off a week back. It made a low of 34.25 and has bounced back in the last 7 days back to 3,800 levels. I think the stock has gone into a correction and is giving a pullback. My sense is that closer to his price, which is about 3,900, 3,920, I think he should consider an exit. The stock has, after a big rally, I think now is showing signs of tiredness and possibly a longer consolidation on the medium-term charts.
Okay. Well, that's the word on Hero Moto. We're getting questions on other nifty stocks as well. A Twitter user, Jay, wants to know if he should participate in this rally or whether he should wait for a correction in stocks like Maruti Suzuki. Okay, there are 3 very different stocks. Maruti Suzuki, Emami and SBI for the next 1 year. Let's take it one by one. Should he buy Maruti now or wait for a correction if he's buying for 1 year, Mitesh?
Well, Lata, I think Maruti is one stock which has kind of, beaten all of us. At 6,000 levels, we were thinking it is too high, whether we should buy or not. Now at 9,000 plus levels, we can keep wondering about that. But I think if he's a long-term investor, he believes in the automobile story, he believes in the India growth story, he should go and buy. There has been some correction in the last few days in Maruti, and probably that's the opportunity he's looking for. He should buy Maruti if he believes in this.
Okay, so you can still buy Maruti if you're in it for the long term. But let's look at the other stocks that he has a query on. Also looking at SBI for the next 1 year. Mitesh, does that make sense to you now? Would you advise it?
I would say so. I think State Bank of India is very close to its all-time highs of 325, 330 zones, and after the pullback has given a correction. My sense is that I think the stock might consolidate for next few weeks, but eventually will break on the upside. Therefore, from a year's perspective, good levels to start buying into this one. Keep a stop below 280 and buy between 320 to about 300. And once it gets past 340, 345, I think 400 is the target.
Okay, and Emami, Mitesh?
Very much a buy. In fact, Lata, it's been a recommendation for the last few weeks, few months. Emami has just broken out of a 2-year consolidation. So straight buy, keep a stop below 1200. I think this is a stock which I would say at least should give you about 25-30% in a year. And that's on a conservative side purely because markets, when they make new highs, we see stock prices sometimes go crazy. So I think a target of 1600 to about 1650 is what I would note.
Back, we're taking your questions and queries live. Now, the fourth big headline of today's trading action was all about the mid-caps. The mid-cap index rallied for the 6th straight day today, led by mid-cap pharma companies as well as NBFCs. The index jumped over 1%. Pharma stocks were led by Wockhardt today. That stock was up 11% in trade, soaring towards a 52-week high. In fact, Twitter user Dinesh wants to know whether it is advisable to buy Wockhardt Pharma right now, given the current rally in the stock price. Let's get a technical as well as a fundamental check going. Sudeep, I don't know if fundamentally something is materially changing for the company. I mean, we all know their tryst with the US FDA and the resolution is still pending. Would you buy Wockhardt now?
Well, I'll be a little cautious, very honestly. I think this US FDA issue has been lingering for some time, and there are uncertainties still. So unless I'm a very aggressive investor, I'll not take that risk. If I have to, get into the pharma space, probably I'll go and buy Cadila, or I will go and buy maybe a Laurus Lab. So these are little less riskier bets, considering the valuation at which Wockhardt is quoting.
Okay. Mitesh, what would you say given the stunning rally on Wockhardt?
So, in fact, we were discussing this stock yesterday as well, and I talked about targets of 4 figures. I think I still maintain that 1020. In that sense, not the best price to buy given the fact that the stock went up 12% today itself. But I think on declines, I would like to accumulate this. So I think anything close to about 850 would be a buying zone, 1020 be a target, and 850 to about 820 should be a buying zone, and keep a stop below 780. I think this is clearly looking at heading towards 1020 as a minimum target. Eventually, we can see even levels of around 1250 over here.
1250 on Wockhardt. Wow, lofty targets coming in over there. So Mitesh seems quite convinced. Let's move to the next question. Twitter user Parth has 45 shares of Lupin. He bought these at 885 for a long-term perspective. He wants to know whether he should sell or whether he should actually add some at current levels. Lupin, interesting. What would you advise on this, Sudeep? I mean, the company has been saying that it's really FY20 when growth will start getting back on track. What's your sense?
Well, Survi, I kind of agree with what the company is saying. The Goa plant, which is one of the most critical things in their entire business, still that US FDA issue is not resolved. They have problems with other plants as well. The business model overall, as far as Lupin is concerned, is being tweaked, and that's the right thing which they are doing. But I think it's going to take some more time before that thing is over. So for the investor to enter now, I don't think will make sense. Maybe it's better to wait and watch.
Okay, fair enough. Now let's move to the last headline of the day. Rising crude prices along with a hawkish view from the MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee, pushed bond yields higher today. The Nifty Bank slipped on the back of that development, and it actually ended in a slight negative zone. Now, Dev from Pune has a question on ONGC, and this is an SMS that he sent us. He's got 50 shares of the company, bought them at a price of 193 almost a year back. He is a long-term investor, wants to know what he should be doing now. So ONGC, which was purchased at 193. Mitesh, what would you advise? I mean, increasingly, we're getting a lot of very bullish targets on ONGC, given the run-up in crude oil prices. His buy price is 193. So what now?
See, to me, it still appears to be more of a trading bet. I think first target is closer to about 200, 202 over here. And beyond that, the stock might do roughly about levels of 225 or so. So, I mean, it gives you about 15% kind of an upside from here in the next few months. So I would suggest holding on to the stock. Add more in case you get it closer to about 175, 170 zones, and 160 should be a stop loss. And I think good chance that we are looking at 225 in the next few months.
Okay, so 225 on ONGC, that is Mitesh's target. A couple of brokerages have been very, very optimistic, saying that simply because the price of oil has moved higher, the actual realizations are going to be much better for this company. Therefore, those price increases that we are getting, stock price target increases, that is. So Dhanshu Shukla has a query on IDFC. He's a resident of Allahabad. He has 200 shares of IDFC, bought them at a price of 47 rupees, and he has been holding on for 1.5 years. Wow, he wants to know what now on IDFC. So the good news, Sudeep, is that he's actually made some money on IDFC, but already holding for 1.5 years. Okay, I think we've just lost that line with Sudeep, so we'll try and reconnect that. In the meantime, Mitesh, let me toss this one to you. IDFC, does it look like it'll do anything substantial above 60, which is where it is now?
Not much. In fact, as of now, at least, we don't have any signals of an important breakout or breakdown taking place. It's broadly doing a range of 53 to about 70, 75, and it should be taken as that kind of a range trading stock. So try to buy it every time the stock is closer to about 55, 53. Try to exit when the stock is closer to about 68, 70, 72 on the upside.
Okay. All right, Mitesh as well as Sudeep, thank you so much for being with us and taking the questions and queries. Of course, we're going to see you with the markets again very, very soon. With that, it's a wrap on this show, but we will now leave you with the CNBC TV18 exclusive. Lata caught up with Geeta Gopinath to know her view on the Indian economy and whether she feels that we can approach that 8% growth mark anytime soon.
Kind of between 6.7 and a little over 7% is where I expect growth to be.
Okay.
The policies and reforms that have been undertaken are not kind of, it's not like fiscal spending where you kind of see an effect much more quicker. It's going to take a little longer. Things like ease of doing business, GST reforms, bankruptcy reform, all of that are kind of more slow-moving factors. And so, but the important thing to keep in mind is that this is in the right direction.
Okay.
And that's great.
Okay. What do you think the government should do in the budget? You referred to fiscal spending. Would you like to see more of it?
No, I would not like to see more of fiscal spending. I think that India has won a lot of points for being fiscally responsible, and you certainly don't want to squander that.
Okay.
Now, it's always an interesting argument that maybe growth is even higher in the future than it is now, and so we can spend more. I would be a little cautious about that because growth rates in India haven't hit the 8% target at this point. So I would not push for that. I think fiscal conservatism has been good.
Okay. Let me come to inflation. One of the big reasons why we also could be fiscally responsible was because crude was on our side.
That's right.
Now to come to the theme of 2018 globally, and here it mingles with the domestic theme. How do you see commodity prices? If global growth is as optimistic as you sounded earlier,
right.
Where would crude go?
I think the projections are that crude will go up some more, but nowhere near where it was before it kind of crashed in 2014, because there are many other sources of supply. There are many other low-cost producers. Like the U.S. is now a big producer of oil. So I think, and they're able to very quickly increase the supply.